About Brunsvík. Once upon a time, Brunsvík was the ruler of the Czech lands. He inherited from his father an eagle on his coat of arms, but this was not enough for him. He wanted to win a new heraldic sign, both for himself and for his country. And therefore, despite the entreaties of his young wife Ludmila, he started to prepare for a quest. When his horse had already been saddled and his entourage was lining up for their departure, Ludmila came to him, and for the last time, she begged him to refrain from undertaking this dangerous journey. The prince, however, was determined, and he refused to stay. But he did exchange a ring with her and told her to wait for 7 years. If during that time she should not see her ring again, she should not allow herself to believe any bad news. If, however, 7 years should pass and still she should not see her ring, it would mean that Brunsvík is dead. In this case, Ludmila should remarry and forget about him. Brunsvík set off with his companions. They travelled far and wide until suddenly one day the sea and the bustling port appeared in front of them. The prince bought a boat and they sailed off on their adventures. They sailed for a long time till at one point they saw a great glow on the horizon. It was the greatly feared Amber Mountain, which draws ships towards itself and then never lets them go. But when the voyagers found this out, it was already too late, and they found themselves stranded on a deserted island. First they ate their stocks, then their horses, and after that began dying of exhaustion. Brunsvík was the last who remained, and he noticed that every year a giant bird came to the top of the mountain. When that time was approaching, he wrapped himself in a horse skin and lay down on a peak. The bird seized the assumed prey and flew with it across the sea to an island where it had its nest. There the bird dropped Brunsvík amongst the hungry nestlings and flew away to keep looking. The young prince resisted the prodding beaks and he eventually managed to escape. He wandered through inhospitable country until suddenly he saw a lion fighting with a 9-headed dragon. The lion did not look well. He was bleeding from many wounds and was passing out, but still he did not give up. Brunsvík ran to help the lion, who had crawled away to recover. It was an unequal contest. Every time Brunsvík cut off one head, after a while it grew again. Also, his strength was beginning to run out. The dragon knocked the sword out of his feeble hand, and the prince fell to the ground. At that moment, the dragon reared up over him in order to inflict a mortal wound. The lion, however, who had recovered some strength again, surprised them when with one powerful swipe, he ripped the dragon's chest in two. From that moment on, the lion became Brunsvík's loyal companion. They experienced many adventures together until, ragged and dirty, they returned back from their journeys to the Czech lands. Brunsvík's castle was festively decorated. It was in fact exactly 7 years to the day since the royal entourage had taken to the road and Ludmila was on the point of remarrying because she had succumbed to the doubts and the pitfalls placed in her path by enemies. Brunsvík managed to throw the ring into the cup that the squire had brought into the banqueting hall. Ludmila cried with joy when she realized that Brunsvík was really alive. Her groom-to-be also understood what was happening, and he ran outside with his faithful companions to deal with the prince. At that moment, though, the lion in the courtyard roared so terrifyingly loud that the now unwelcome guests preferred to escape from the castle, and nobody ever saw them again. The princess and the prince lived happily ever after, leaving behind them a host of children. And so too did the lion that would forever guard the Czech lands on their emblem. The coexistence of humans with animals throughout history has taken on many different forms. Fighting with the dragon, which we have all known about from fairy tales, has now been replaced by a far more serious struggle for survival. Humans have now become the biggest threat to wildlife. They are the dragons that destroy the original habitats of animals, fell forests, or hunt animals to illegally trade their meat. The legend of Brunsvík reminds us that we should treat living creatures with respect and protect them from extinction. Indeed, the loss of their place on Earth could also be fatal for us all.